Padmatmane Namaham. Devotees Jai Sita Ram. I'd like to welcome each and every one of you to our Sunday morning satsang, this beautiful December 13th, 2020. Before we commence with our puja for this morning, for those of you who know the puja, I ask that you join with me together as we welcome you all to service. स्वागत समझन इस मंदिर हो, भक्ति की स्वाति की धार, सुंदर सुमधुर गान हमारा, रंजन समन नार। ईश सगुण निर्गुण अविनाशी, माता पिता रघुयार। ईश सगुण निर्गुण अविनाशी, माता पिता रघुयार। पूर भाई हम वास्तु सदाही, पूर भाई हम वास्तु सदाही, और हमें संसार। स्वागत सभजन इस मंदिर, भक्ति की स्वाति की धार, सुंदर सुमधुर गान हमारा, रंजन सब नर नार। तीर्थ माया यहाँ घुट लगावे, पुण्य यहाँ पारसार। तीर्थ माया यहाँ घुट लगावे, पुण्य यहाँ पारसार। संगति संतन नीम चलावे, संगति संतन नीम चलावे, शुभ स्वभाव व्यवहार। स्वागत समझन इस मंदिर, भक्ति की स्वाति की धार, सुंदर सुमधुर गान हमारा, रंजन सब नर नार, रंजन सब नर नार, रंजन सब नर नार। At this time, devotees, I ask that we all join together. Go ahead and sit in a position that is very comfortable for you. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, drop your shoulders, straighten your spine, relax your body. Go ahead and clasp your hands and close your eyes. And take a moment to focus on a form of Bhagwan that is most pleasing to you, as we all join together in commencing and chanting with our opening prayers. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyati Ishavasyam Nidam Sarvam Yatkincha Jagatyam Jagat Tena Tyatena Bhunjetan Makruthakrasya Swadhanam Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahe Harim Shanti 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 Hari. May we all join together, devotees, now as we commence in chanting the most powerful Gayatri Mantra. Om Manakshe Varane Devi Akshare Brahmavadini Gayatri Jagat Matar Vishwayomi Vastuti. Om Bhore Bhuvaswa Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yonah Prachodayat. Om Bhore Bhuvaswa Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yonah Prachodayat. Om Bhore Bhuvaswa Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yonah Prachodayat. Hari Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Prem Gayatri Mata join together now, devotees, as we offer prayers to that remover and that destroyer of all obstacles in our life and in this universe, as we offer prayers to Lord Ganesh. Om Shri Ganganapati Namaha. Om Gajananam Bhutadhanani Sevitam Kapita Jambu Palachara Om Asutam Shukha Vinashamarakam Namami Vigneshwara Padapam Om Vakritunna Mahakaya Surya Pati Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurme Devam Sarvakarishu Sarvada Om Raksha Raksha Ganadhaksha Raksha Trailokya Rakshakar Bhaktanam Bhayam Karta Krata Bhavan Bhavanadavat Om Shriman Mahaganadipate Namah Prem Se Bolo Ganesh Bhagwan Ki Jai. Devotees, for those of you who know the bhajan, I ask that you join with me as we continue to offer our obediences, as we continue to offer prayers and obediences to Lord Ganesha. Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha Deva, Mata Jati Parvati Pita Mahadeva. Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha Deva, Mata Jati Parvati Pita Mahadeva. Ladavanaka bhoga lage santa kare seva, Ladavanaka bhoga lage santa kare seva. Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha Deva, Mata Jati Parvati Pita Mahadeva. Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha Deva, Mata Jati Parvati Pita Mahadeva. Ekarant Dhayavant Chara Bhujamhari, Ekarant Dhayavant Chara Bhujamhari, Mate Ke Sindur Sohe Musake Savari, Yo Ke Dupa Harta Paramanandane. Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha Deva, Mata Jati Parvati Pita Mahadeva. Andhana ko aankh dete Kuriyan ko aaya, Andhana ko aankh dete Kuriyan ko aaya, Anjan ke putra dete Niradhan ko maya. Bhavas kar karo nat bhajan karo He Ram. Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Mata Jati Parvati Pita Mahadeva. जो तेरा ध्यान करो ज्ञान मिले उसको, जो तेरा ध्यान करो ज्ञान मिले उसको, चोर धुन और भान जाऊंगे किसको। हे देवा कृपा करो कष्ट हरो मेरा। जय गणेश, जय गणेश, जय गणेश देवा, माता जति पार्वती पिता महादेवा। जय गणेश, जय गणेश, जय गणेश देवा, माता जति पार्वती पिता महादेवा। माता जति पार्वती पिता महादेवा, माता जति पार्वती पिता महादेवा। ओम प्रेम से बोल गणेश भगवान की जय. As we continue on, devotees, we all join together now as we offer prayers to that universal mother and that destroyer of all evils in our life. As we offer prayers to Adi Shakti Durga Mata. Om Mahadurgai Namaha. Mangala Kali, Bhandrakali Gopalini, Durga Kshama Shiva Dhatri, Swaha Swaha Namostute. Jai Om Devi Chamunde, Jai Putarate Niharadini, Jai Sarvagate Devi, Kalaratri Namostute. Adevi Sarvabhutishu, Vishnumaye Vishamnitha Namastasye 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 Namo Namaya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Mukhi-rupena samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Lakshmi-rupena samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Shakti-rupena samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Shraddha-rupena samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Shanti-rupena samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Pushti-rupena samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Daya-rupena samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Matri-rupena samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaya Devi Sambhavyam Arogyam Dehi me paramam sukham Rupam nehi jayam nehi Yasho nehi dvasho nehi Om Prem Shiva Shakti Durga Mata ki Jai. At this time, devotees, we now join together as we offer prayers to the most influential beings in our life. As we offer prayers to the Navgraha. Om Navgraha Devataye Namah. Shanirahu Keto Sarve Graha Shanti Bhavantu Sarve Graha Shanti As we continue on with our prayers to the Navgraha Devata, we join together now as we offer prayers to that sustainer of this earth, that God in the form of the sun, Suryanarayan Bhagavan. Om Surya As we continue on, devotees, we offer prayers now to that sustainer of all things dharmic and righteous in this universe, as we offer prayers to Lord Vishnu. Om Shri Vishnu Namaha. Om Shampakaram Jagashayanam Padmanabham Surisham Vishwadharam Gaganam Sadrasham Meghavarnam Shubham Om Lakshmi Kantam Kamalayanam Yogi Bhedadhanagam Vande Vishnu Bhavaya Haram Sarvalokekanam Om Sashankha Chakram Sakirita Kumbhalam Sapita Vastram Sarasi Bhashriyam Namami Vishnu Shirasachanamujam Namami Vishnu Shirasachanamujam Om Prem se Vishnu Bhagwan ki jai. And finally, devotees, we offer prayers to that universal Father and that universal Guru. We offer prayers to that destroyer of all evils in our life and in this universe. We join together as we offer prayers to Lord Shiva. Santam Hridayarnune Bhavam Bhavani Sahitam Namami Bhavam Bhavani Sahitam Namami Om Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya Hari Om Namah Devotees, we offer this next prayer for all those suffering from various illnesses, diseases, injuries, and ailments. We ask that them have a fast, speedy, and full recovery. We also offer a prayer for those transitioning from this world to the next. May their passage be a smooth and tranquil. Shiva Shakti Mandir. Devotees, for those of you who are at home worshipping, and for those of you who have a lingam and perform your lingam puja on a regular basis, I ask that you join together with me as we continue on with this bhajan for Lord Shiva in the form of the Shiva lingam. Brahmamurari Surarachitaringam Niramarhavasukashobhitalingam Janamajadukkhavinashakalingam Tat Pranamami Sadashivalingam Devamuni Pradhuvarjitalingam Amanaham pranamami sada shivalingam. Tat pranamami sada shivalingam. Tat pranamami sada shivalingam. Lingashtakam idam punyam yaha pati Shiva Sannidham Shivalokamavapnuti Shivena sahamudati. Om Namah Prem se bolo Shiva Shankar Bhagwan ki jai. At this time, devotees, before we continue on with our sermon for today, for those of us who have a guru, I ask that we all join together as we offer a prayer to our guru. If you do not have a guru, I ask that you take Lord Shiva or Adi Shakti Durga Mata in your mind as your universal gurus. As we join together. Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Deo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Prem se bolo Gurudeo ki jai. Devotees, last week when we had met, we were in the middle of chapter 9 of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, in which Bhagwan Shri Krishna is telling Arjuna different ways of being devoted to Bhagwan. And what does devotion mean? How is devotion significant to us as followers of Sanatana? He tells us ways in which we can attain moksha, and we ended last week on verse 20 of chapter 9 of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, in which Bhagwan Shri Krishna is stating to Arjuna, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Travidhamam Sumama Bhuta Papayachir Ishva Sarvyati Bharatayante Te Punyam Asatsuram Trimodam Asnanti Divyandi Deva Bhogan. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. We ended on verse 20, in which Bhagwan Shri Krishna is telling Arjuna, those who are devoted to fruitive activity, which is material activity, an activity we perform in this material world, as described in the 30 Vedas, worship me by performing yajna. Yajna means sacrifice. And we all sit down, we've all been to a yajna before, right? We've been to a puja, somebody's house, they're sitting down sacrificing and performing obediences to Bhagwan. Having become free from sins by drinking the soma juice, which is the remnant of the yajna, things like panchamrit and water, they pray for entrance into Swarga. When they attain the planet of Indra by virtue of their pious deeds, they then enjoy the celestial pleasures of the devas. So Bhagwan Shri Krishna is saying that there are those in this world who are devoted to fruitive activity. Instead of worshiping God and remembering God in your mind, we choose specific times to worship Bhagwan. Sometimes we do it at our own home when we're performing puja, and sometimes we do it during specific days of the year. And what do we call those days? We call them, we call them holidays. Krishna Janmashtami, Ram Navami, Shivratri, Navaratri. We take these days to worship Bhagwan, and we only do it sometimes during those times, instead of remembering Bhagwan at all times. So he says that by doing this, you will indeed enjoy the celestial pleasures of the devas. But he goes on to say even further. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. 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 Shri Krishna He goes on to tell Arjuna that those who are devoted to these fruitive activities, when their pious merit is exhausted, after they attain and achieve and get to enjoy these celestial pleasures, they again return to the mortal world, having enjoyed those celestial pleasures. In this way, those who desire sense pleasures and who perform fruitive activities as described in the three Vedas receive only repeated birth and death within this material world. However, for those who are always absorbed in thoughts of me and who worship me with one-pointed devotion by every means, I myself carry their necessities and preserve what they have. So if you intake and partake, and you want to continue to partake in these celestial pleasures, in these material pleasures, in these pleasures of the material world, you'll continue to come to this material world. You can do good throughout your entire life, but if you're not focused on Bhagwan, if you're not focused on that goal, then at the end of the day, you're just going to come back to this material world. That's what he's saying. Now, taking it into an analogy, let's say that your gutters need to be repaired. Or let's say that rephrase. Let's say, and this happened at the Mandir too, let's say that the trimmer on the Mandir was going rotten. It was rotten because it's wood, right? And over time, wood rots. You could always take the time to go ahead and fix that wood and replace it with more wood. But what's going to happen over time? Over time, it's going to happen again. That wood is going to rot, and then you're going to have to replace it. You could take more time, though, and spend more money to replace that wood with something like vinyl. Something that is more artificial in material. Something not so natural. Vinyl, yes, over time, will break down, but it will last much longer than wood. Will it cost you more time? Yes. Will it cost you more money? Yes, but what does it save you? It saves you to have to repeat something over and over and over again. It saves you to have to spend money over and over and over again. So looking at that analogy compared to here, if you want to take part in these celestial pleasures, or these material pleasures of this material world, you can. Just know that you're going to live this world over and over and over again. But if you take the time, you take the finances, you take the resources to being devoted to Bhagwan more now, it just means that you won't have to come back to the material world over and over again. So he's saying again, you will attain salvation at some point. But if you do good in this world and you're still attached to the things in this world, know that for a short period of time, you will be celebrated. For a short period of time, you will attain your celestial pleasure, but then afterwards you have to come back to this physical world, which he's already mentioned earlier in the chapter, is a world in its abode that is filled with misery. Because attachment can lead to jealousy, it can lead to greed, it can lead to anger, and it can lead to hate. From a financial perspective, and I urge this to anybody who is growing up and learning, don't always go with the cheapest option. The cheapest option is not always the best option. Sometimes you want to go with the more expensive option because of the longevity and the quality that you're going to get. Another example that I can give you is air duct cleaning. Serena and I were pricing air duct cleaning quotes, and we went with one company who was giving us a really great price. They had this one price just for all of December. And I thought in my head, okay, maybe I should go with them. So then I started to look at reviews. And for the most part, they only had a few reviews, maybe about 16, 17 reviews. But out of all those reviews, they were all one sentence, one line things like, they were great, did a good job. But then there was one review that was about 3 paragraphs in length that talked about the terrible job that had occurred, the disrespect between the company and the person who was purchasing the services, and the fact that they ended up ruining her system and costing her more money. There's another company that we wanted to go with, and that company was about $300 more expensive. $300 more expensive. But they have about 200 times as many reviews, all positive, about 4.5 stars to 4.8 stars, depending on the review site you're looking at. And they're trusted, they're reliable. So what will we do? Will we go with the cheaper one that could cause us harm quicker, that could bring us burden? Or will we go with the more expensive one that we know is going to bring solace to the home? And of course, we chose the one that is more expensive, that's going to bring us solace to the home. Because in the long run, that's better for us. So remember some of these things. It's usually better to do your research and invest heavier for the long haul rather than to fix things for the short haul. Just like he's saying here. Enjoy your celestial pleasures if you enjoy the things in this physical world, but try to remove your senses and remove your joys from the physical world and bring them inside. Happiness originates from within. Going on further, Bhagwan Shri Krishna tells Arjuna in verses 23, 24, and 25, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. He Papanya Deva Bhakta Yajante Shraddhayan Vita Te Bhimam Deva Kauteya Rajantya Purvakam Aham Hi Sarvaya Jnanam Mukta Cha Brahma Eva Cha Natu Mukha Bhujanati Tattve Natasya Yanti Nevarata Devan Pitre Jati Pitre Vrata Bhutani Ati Bhuteja Yati Madhya Shiva Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Bhagwan Shri Krishna goes on to talk about how we worship. He says, O Kaunteya, O Arjuna, those who worship other devatas with faith actually worship me alone, but in a way that is unauthorized. So if you worship other things in this world, you're worshiping them. I understand that. I am the only master and enjoyer of all yajnas, but those who do not recognize my swarupa, my truth, repeatedly wander in the cycle of birth and death. Those who worship the devatas go to the planets of those devatas, but those who worship the forefather go to the planets of the forefather. And those who worship the spirits go to the planets of the spirits, but those who worship me will surely come to me. So he's saying that if you worship these other devatas, if you worship in different ways, yes, you'll attain their abode, and I will help you attain that abode. I will help you attain that abode. But just know that at the end of the day, you're going to come back to this material world until you attain my swarupa, my truth, my abode. He's talking about how we worship and how we do things in different ways. If we relate this back to our own physical lives and the lives that we live, there's different ways in which we can all perform different things, and that's understood. However, at the end of the day, sometimes there's going to be a right way to do something, and sometimes a wrong way to do something. Sometimes a right way and sometimes a wrong way, especially in the sequence of events. Now, I'm going to give this analogy knowing with the wholehearted intent that you all know I have no idea what I'm talking about here. When it comes to changing your oil. When it comes to changing your oil, what is the proper step first? Do you open up the oil and let all the oil run out and try to replace it? Do you put new oil in? Do you take the oil pan out first? When it comes to the oil, do you just go get the canola oil that's in your pantry and put that into your car? No, there's correct steps and correct ways to do something in order to attain something successfully in this case. So in order for us to achieve things, we've got to make sure that we're doing them in the right steps and the right orders. Now, again, there's not always going to be the same order for everybody. Everybody's going to have a different way that they're going to worship and understand and be devoted to Bhagwan. But it is not up to us to tell them how to do it. For Serena and I, we have different ways of doing things in different sequences and different orders. Yes, it makes each one of us get on each other's nerves at time. But at the end of the day, what happens? The task that needs to be done gets done successfully, no matter who does it. So was the anger really worth it? Not so much. Do we make up at the end of the day? Of course we do. Of course we do. Right? Because we have that knowledge that each one of us does something differently, and at the end of the day, what do? We talk about it still. It's one of the favorite parts I love about our relationship is that communication piece. It's that piece in which we can talk and understand that even though we have differences, we still achieve the same things in the same way, achieve the same things at the same time, but maybe not necessarily in the same way. So when we worship, everybody's going to worship a specific way. And he says, if you worship these other devatas, you will attain them. Until you can actually focus your thoughts on me, you won't attain me. You will not attain me. Again, looking at students, right now we're all going into finals. All the kids are going into finals. So, if you're more focused on creating your next viral dance video for TikTok, or if you're focused on playing Cyberpunk 2077, because I know that video game just came out. I know everybody loves it. If you're more focused on getting that new PlayStation 5, Or that new video game console. Probably should have said those words specifically. That new video game console. And you're not focusing on your work. What's going to happen to the work? Yeah, Serena just did this. It's going to plummet. It's going to go down. Holidays are coming up. In Western culture, we call that Christmas. What do you think your Christmas presents are going to be? None of that stuff. Really, the true goal here is to talk about your grades and attaining that high score. If you want to do well on your finals, what must you focus on? Those finals. If your teacher gives you a practice test, what should you focus on? The practice test. Because I guarantee you that practice test is going to be very closely aligned to your final exam. If you focus on the goal, you can achieve that goal. Will all of the other stuff still be there at the end of the day? Will the grass still be green? Will the sky still be blue? Will there still be leaves on the trees? It's fall, winter time, so maybe not on the tree part. But everything else around you will still be there. That Netflix show that you're watching can wait because it'll be there next week, I promise you. That video game that you want to play will be there whenever you need it. TikTok will be there whenever you need it too. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Focus on the task at hand in order for you to achieve that task. Focus on it correctly, wholeheartedly, or else you will never attain it. That is what Bhagwan Shri Krishna is saying here. But he wants to go on and say more about this worship, and how a person who's filled with bhakti, who's filled with devotion worships. He goes on to tell Arjuna further in the next 3 verses. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Shri Krishna Sharanam Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Patram Pushpam Palam Goyam Yo Me Bhakya Prachati Tad Aham Hati Bhutavrittam Asami Prayatamana Yam Paruse Yarasnasi Yachchusi Nanasya Yatapasya Sikandeya Yatkuru Swamanaramanam Subhan Subha Paleryevam Moksya Sekharama Pananam Samya Sayoga Yukatma Vimukkumam Upasyasi Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. He goes on to say, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam. If any pure-hearted bhakta offers me a leaf, a flower, so patram, a leaf, pushpam, a flower, phalam, fruit, toyam, water, with love and devotion, I will surely accept that gift. O Kaunteya, whatever activities you perform, whatever you eat, whatever you sacrifice and give in charity, and whatever austerities you perform, offer them all to me. And this way you will be freed from the bondage of the auspicious and inauspicious results of karma, being thus blessed with the yoga of renunciation. By offering me all the results of your action, you will become distinguished even among liberated souls, and you will attain me. So I want to dig hard into verse 26. If any pure-hearted bhakta, somebody who's very devoted, offers me a leaf, flower, fruit, or water with love and devotion, I will surely accept that gift. I can't tell you the number of times I've been to a puja devotees in which we leave the puja and there's a group of people talking about, can you believe how terrible they did that? Can you believe how wrong they did all of those steps? Can you believe that they used that color flower instead of this color flower? Can you believe what they did? Let me ask you, you focused on all that. What was the concentration of the person sitting down? Was it true? Was their mind undeviated? Were they focused? Were they being devoted? Did they have good-hearted intent? We are so busy looking at those physical things that we miss the grand picture. We miss the things that we can't necessarily see, which is the concentration, the devotion, the goodwill, the effort that people put into things. So if somebody who sits next to me worships Bhagwan Shri Krishna with love and devotion, but they do it differently. They do it by laying down on their back, hands up in the air, screaming the entire time. Is that wrong? Maybe it's not the way I learned. But what Bhagwan Shri Krishna is saying here is, if you do this, all of this stuff with pure devotion, I will accept that. So it is not up to us to say who does things right and who does things wrong, as long as there's love and devotion to it. If you perform your activities, whatever you sacrifice, offer them to me. If you do all this, if you continue to do all this, with your full heart and full devotion, you will become a great person. You will become distinguished amongst liberated souls, and you will attain me. So, question here. Should we judge people based off how they worship? The answer is no. It's the results of how we provide and give things during our worship that helps us attain our goals. I'm taking it back to what we talked about the last verse. Doesn't matter how somebody does something to get to an end goal. In some cases, it may matter. Some cases, it makes sense and there has to be an order. When you take a car apart, you got to put it back together in the same order, or else it'll be much more difficult. Got to use those same bolts, or it'll be much more difficult. But if we're all working on a project, let's say I give you all a project. I want you to design a mural. And that mural has to be metaphorical images that represent Bhagwan. Is everybody going to provide and create the same mural? Is everybody's mural going to be created with the same process, with the same materials, with the same items and resources? Depending on the rules and stipulations we give you for the project, maybe, maybe not. But at the end of the day, everybody's going to create some beautiful piece of art that's their own, that helps them focus on the ultimate goal of what they need to achieve. So you study in the best way that's possible to you. If you need music, you do that. But that means you study. Studying doesn't mean I have a TikTok video or YouTube on the side while I'm trying to read my book. That's a distraction. Worship in the way that is pleasing to you, in which you can make yourself fully devoted, fully focused, with undeviated attention, and a unified mind on Bhagwan. Choose that way that is most applicable to you, what Bhagwan Shri Krishna is saying, and worship me in that way. We end today with verse 29, in which Bhagwan Shri Krishna states to Arjuna, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, 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 Samoham Sarvabhutesu Name Visastina Priyan Yem Bhajanti Lomam Bhamya Naite Tasutapyaham Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. I have homework for you, devotees. Because in verse 29 of chapter 9 of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Bhagwan Shri Krishna uses one word and specifically, equality. Equality. My homework for you, instead of me translating this verse, I want you all to research what you think equality means. And I want you to provide me a 3-sentence description. This is very specific. A 3-sentence description on what you believe equality means. You can leave it as a comment down on this YouTube video. You can text me. You can email us at shivshaktimandirgeorgia@gmail.com. No matter what, I want to see some responses. 3 sentences. 3. You see 3 fingers. That tells me what you think equality means. Do your homework. Understand what that means. And when we come back, devotees, we'll read through verses 29 and 34 and see what Bhagwan Shri Krishna means by talking about equality. Prem se bol Krishna Chandra Bhagwan ki jai. Devotees, at this time, you're going to have to forgive me. My throat has been acting up since about Friday, so it's a little sore. So rather than singing one other bhajan, I'm going to ask that we go ahead and join together. Clasp our hands and close our eyes. And focus on our keyword to start off with, relax. So take a deep breath in. exhale and straighten your spine. Lift your head up. Drop your shoulders. Relax your forehead. De-stress. Clasp your hands and close your eyes. Focus for a moment on your breathing. Remain calm and remain steady. Take some time to focus on an image of Bhagwan within your mind and join with me as we chant these closing prayers. Om Sarvesham Swasti Bhavatu Sarvesham Shanti Bhavatu Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu Om Sarve Sukhino Bhavantu Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhutrani Pashantu Ma Kaschita Vibhave Om Mantrahinam Kriyahinam Bhaktinam Janardanam Yatya Pujitam Maya Neva Paripurnam Tadastu Me Papuham Papu Karmaham Papu Atma Papu Sambhava Trahimam Mudari Kaksham Sarva Papu Haru Hari Om Tvameva Matascha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Om Asatoma Sadhamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Amrituma Amritam Yamaya Hari Om Shanti 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 Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Deva Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Om Grau Shanti Antariksham Shanti Prithvi Shanti Apa Shanti Oshadveya Shanti Vanaspati Shanti Vishwadeva Shanti Brahma Shanti Sarvim Shanti Shanti Reva Shanti Sama Shanti Reki Hari Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Prem se bolo Ganesh Bhagwan ki Jai Prem se bolo Adi Shakti Durga Mata ki Jai Prem se bolo Vishnu Bhagwan ki Jai Prem se bolo Shiva Shakti Bhagwan ki Jai Prem se bolo Shiva Shakti Mandir ki Jai Prem se bolo Sanatana Dharma ki Jai. Devotees, with this, we have come to the end of our virtual Sunday morning satsang, and I'd like to thank each and every one of you for being here today. As I mentioned, I have to apologize. My throat has been acting up all morning. I've been having to clear it, and it's been getting sore, so that's why we're ending a little bit earlier today, just a few minutes. But in regards to that, I'm showing a sign that I have a sore throat. That doesn't necessarily mean I have COVID. I'm going to go get a COVID test at some point today, but we're still in the midst of a pandemic. We're in the holiday season, and I know it's very, very tempting for us to want to go see families and for us to want to go see those that we love and cherish. But it is also very difficult for us to try to do that when there's a pandemic going around and there's the fact that we could potentially spread that disease to those that we care about. I don't know. Are you thinking about the SNL skit? So there's an SNL skit that that Serena and I watched the other day, in which it's a child calling their parent, and the child tells the parent, "I'm not coming home for Christmas," and the parent goes, "Okay, that's fine. Well, I might as well just throw all of your clothes out and turn your room into a gym," because children and parents want to see each other for the holidays. But there are measures that we need to put in place to make sure that we're staying safe. The numbers are going up increasingly every day. The number of deaths are going up every day. This disease is not something that we can take lightly or play lightly with. The vaccine, yes, is coming out here in the next year. But on that note, it's still up to us to maintain and be safe, practice social distancing, wear our masks, and make sure that we are getting tested as appropriately, when appropriately, but being concerned and making sure that we're caring for others. We're in this together, devotees. Human beings, living beings, animals, nature, we're all in this together. In order for us to make sure that this isn't a problem anymore, we have to work together. Remember, to attain a goal, we have to focus on the correct measures and the correct times. So I ask and urge that you all continue to be safe, stay happy, and stay healthy. With that being said, there's a few things that we want to wish to everybody. Our first thing is to say condolences to Auntie Gloria. Auntie Gloria's niece had passed away at the age of 33. I forgive me because I do not know the date, but on the behalf of the executive board and all of the members of the Shiv Shakti Mandir, Auntie Gloria, I want to send condolences to you, and we want to send condolences to your niece and her family as well. They are in our thoughts and our prayers, and we're praying for her soul in a peaceful and safe journey in salvation. We want to wish a few people some things that have happened this week, something very nice. So today, actually, I believe, is Uncle Chris's birthday. I remember when I was a young boy. We moved here in 1997, 1998, and we had started coming to the Dharmic Subha of Georgia. I would see Uncle Chris. I didn't really know him that well. And I would take an RTD around, and I would give everybody RT, and they would do their thing and put their dollar bill in, and I would take that to the front. And every time I went over to Uncle Chris, he would always rub my head and said, man, I wish I had hair like you do. See, I'm losing mine, but I wish I had hair like you do. Well, now I can tell you some good news, Uncle Chris. You definitely like hair like I do. You definitely have it. So that wish that you wanted, you got it. You got it, buddy. Happy birthday, Uncle Chris. We also want to send special congratulations to Shivani. So Shivani actually attained her degree in May of this year, but unfortunately because of the pandemic, they didn't get to have a graduation. Well, it took them a few months, but they were able to plan a very nicely laid out social distancing graduation for those graduates of the May or the spring class of Georgia Tech. So congratulations to Shivani on your graduation. We are very proud of you. We know that you need to get to Seattle, but we're glad to still have you here in Georgia for the time that you're here. And then we also want to congratulate Amanda and Mark on Friday. Amanda and Mark celebrated their union together. They got married in a very beautiful ceremony. So to Amanda and Mark, congratulations. We were talking about it after the wedding. There was just myself and my godbrother and my sister about the fact that we've all grown up together and the fact that we've all made each other stronger, in a sense that we encourage each other, we talk to each other, and if you look at every single one of us, we're there to support each other in the good times and in the bad. We're there to support each other through mentally, physically challenging times as well. We all push each other to do better. So, to see our friend getting married, it was very joyous and happy for us. So again, congratulations to Amanda and Mark. With that being said, devotees, I have no other announcements for this week. I hope you all stay happy, healthy, and safe. Please remember, for those of you who are choosing to do so, January 5th, this coming January 5th, is a runoff election here in Georgia. Again, this is not me being political and affiliating for any political party. However, early voting starts tomorrow. And the runoff elections are very important. They're just as important as our primary elections. So if you have the time, please take the time to go vote early. Or if you don't have the time, and if you already requested your absentee ballot, send that ballot in. Or if you couldn't do that, make sure you take some time on January 5th. Again, being safe out there in society to go vote. Again, early voting starts tomorrow. If you have the ability to do so, I highly recommend staying in that line, while it's a little smaller, to go ahead and get your early voting in. With that being said, devotees, I hope you all have a safe, wonderful, happy, and healthy week. We will see you again next Sunday, December 20th, for a regular virtual morning satsang. Sita Ram.